Bonjour, today on Travelling Fabulously, I'm at the Opera Garnier. Masquerade, paper faces on parade. Yep, I'm all Phantom of the Opera up, but I forgot my mask. Oh, typical. Oh well, hopefully I've got one down in the dungeon below. You know what I say, whatever you do it fabulously. So why don't you come and join me on this week's episode of Travelling Fabulously. Just like to point out, for obvious reasons, this is a room I could spend hours in. I came twice to the Opera Garnier to film this vlog for you. Once on an after-hours tour, which was so much fun because you get to visit rooms like this without any people. Here's one shot of this room at 10:30 in the morning on a Thursday. Here's another on a private after-hours tour. Balcony at the Opera Garnier, you can see behind me the boulevard d'Opera. Like most boulevards in Paris, there's no awnings on them. Why is this? Well, when Napoleon commissioned housemen to knock down most of Paris and rebuild it, thanks for that by the way, he was paranoid about being assassinated. So he didn't want anybody on his way to the opera to assassinate him. So he didn't allow any trees on Boulevard d'Opera, nor any awnings. Now we all have to walk in the sun just because he didn't want to get shot on the way to the opera that he never came to. Thanks, Napoleon. Look, another you've got to love the French moment. Of course, when you're renovating a building, you'd put up scaffolding and then you'd camouflage the scaffolding to look like the building that's being renovated. You gotta love the French. A great thing to do and see when you come to the Opera Garnier is the exhibitions they have on. They've always got displays of fabulous costumes that have been used in the operas and ballets throughout the centuries. Go check them out. I love a frilly costume. There's even a bibliothèque museum and library. Well, that's what a bibliothèque is, but anyway, let's not get into that. And at the moment, they've got a Picasso exhibition. Let's go check it out. But shh, because there's a library, so you've got to be quiet. A really fascinating exhibition. Not only did Picasso love to draw and paint about dancing, but he also contributed to many costume designs for the opera at the Opera Garnier. And not only that, loved to dance himself. Gotta love a good dancer. Wish I could paint, draw and dance. Imagine if you could paint, draw and dance all at the same time. That would be really fabulous, wouldn't it? The Opera Garnier, of course, was the inspiration for the Phantom of the Opera. Yes, there is a chandelier and it did fell. Well, it sort of fell, but didn't really. But we'll talk about that later. There is a labyrinth of water underneath with a phantom running. Well, maybe not a phantom, like putting a boat through it, but the labyrinth of water was actually built so that they could put out fires and also to make the building more stable. There is a box 5 that should be left empty. Well, it doesn't get really left empty because they have to sell tickets to make money to pay for the operas. And apparently there is a ghost, but that's only if you hang around dark areas that are dimly lit. Lucky I'm not doing that, isn't it? All right, let's go. Anciently peace and I am the Phantom of the Opera. I am the Phantom of the Opera. The theatre itself was actually commissioned by the Emperor Napoleon. 1, 2, 3. Yep, Napoleon III. There was an international design competition back in 1860, and 171 architects actually entered the competition to build the Opera Garnier. But it wasn't like the Opera Garnier then. The Opera House itself is surrounded by banks, so that everybody can collect their jewels from the vaults before coming to the theatre. I prefer to keep my family jewels a little closer to home, don't you? You know what I mean? Not in a bank. That'd hurt. The opera has 1,979 seats, which makes it one of the largest theatres in the world. Apparently, not all of them have great views, so you can pick up a really cheap seat, but unfortunately you won't be able to see anything. Oh well. The grand staircase behind me is made of white marble, and the actual balustrades are made of green and red marble. The grand staircase right behind me is actually made of marble, but the actual balustrades are made of green and white marble. I wonder if I can take home a bit for the bathroom. What do you think anybody would notice? The opera was the modern day magazine and internet of its time. If you wanted to know who was going out with who was doing who, all of that sort of stuff, then you went to the opera. And you paraded up and down this staircase if you were the who's who. So the Brad Pitts of their time, the Andrew Pryors, yep, they would have been there dressed to their finest regale with their latest mistress or mister. Is that the male version of a mistress? A mister? I'm not sure. But anyway, you know what I'm getting at. And they would parade up and down the stairs. Every time they went to the opera, they paid about £22,000 a year just to go to the opera every night of the week. Would you pay £22,000 a year to go to the opera every night of the week? Not sure. I suppose it would depend on what the opera was. Charles Garnier was eventually declared the winner of the competition to design the Opera Garnier. He was allowed to put his name to the actual building, although they would later call it the Opera Garnier. So what he did was, downstairs in the entrance hall, he put his name in the insignia that goes along the ceiling. When you go into the golden mirrored room, you'll check out all the lovely naked people painted on the ceiling. They're naked because they're goddesses. You see, it was illegal at the time that they painted it to paint women naked. So all the people on the ceiling are actually gods and goddesses. That way they could get around it. I just have a look inside. Yep, box number 5 is empty. So I thought I'd just go and sit in there for a little while. I mean, you know, what could happen? The chandelier's already fallen once. And surely it's not going to happen again. And didn't the ghost get killed in the movie anyway? I'm sure it'll be fine. I am the Phantom of the Opera. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Subscribe to more fabulous videos next week. Like the video if you liked it. Share it around. I love to be shared around. We all know that. Oh, and put some comments below. I love comments too. Thank you for the lovely people that put lovely comments. I only get lovely comments at the moment. One day I'll be popular enough to get not lovely comments. So share me around with your friends, and whatever you do, do it fabulously. I'll see you next week. Bye. That bye was so annoying. I know. Sorry. You know what I say? Whatever you do, do it fabulously. So why not join me on Travelling Fabulously?